If you are still applying for jobs by uploading a chronological resume to a company website and crossing your fingers, you might as well be putting your career message in a bottle and throwing it into the ocean. The reality of the modern job market is brutal, loud, and incredibly crowded. But what if I told you that the reason you are struggling isn't because you lack talent, but because you are playing by rules that were written 30 years ago? Welcome to a deep dive into the strategies of guerrilla marketing for job hunters 2.0 foot by J. Conrad Levinson and David E. Perry. This isn't just about polishing your CV, it is about a fundamental psychological shift from being a passive job seeker to an aggressive, strategic solution provider. We are going to explore how to stop asking for a job and start selling a solution. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room, which is the absolute failure of the traditional job search model. We have all been there. You spend hours tailoring a cover letter, you tweak your resume, you hit submit on the job portal, and then, silence. Maybe you get an automated rejection email 3 weeks later. Levinson and Perry argue that this happens because you are trying to enter through the front door along with 10,000 other people. The guerrilla mindset is about finding the side door, the back window, or even coming down the chimney if you have to. The core philosophy here is borrowed from guerrilla marketing in business, achieving conventional goals, like getting a job, using unconventional methods. It implies investing time, energy, and imagination rather than just throwing money or standard applications at the problem. The authors make a compelling point that in a knowledge-based economy, the most dangerous thing you can do is blend in. If you look like every other accountant, project manager, or software engineer on paper, you become a commodity. And commodities are bought on price, meaning you get the lowest salary offer, if you get an offer at all. So, how do we stop being a commodity? We have to shift our identity. You need to stop thinking of yourself as an employee looking for a boss and start thinking of yourself as a specialized business looking for a partner. This is the concept of you incorporated. When a company hires you, they aren't doing you a favor, they are making an investment. They are buying a product that solves a specific pain point. Your job, before you even write a single word of your resume, is to identify what your unique value proposition is. What is the specific financial impact you bring to the table? The book emphasizes that employers essentially hire for 2 reasons: to make money or to save money. If you cannot articulate how you do one of those 2 things, you are just another expense on the balance sheet. This requires a deep audit of your own history. It is not enough to say you are responsible for sales. You need to say you increased revenue by 20% in a down market. It is not enough to say you managed a team. You need to say you reduced turnover by 15% and cut training costs by $50,000. This shift from duties to achievements is the cornerstone of the guerrilla approach. Now, let's talk about the weapon of choice for most job hunters, the resume. The standard chronological resume is, frankly, a boring historical document. It tells the reader what you did in 1998, which is often irrelevant to what you can do today. The guerrilla approach demands that we tear up that standard format. Instead of a history lesson, your resume needs to be a marketing brochure. It needs to scream value from the top third of the first page. The authors suggest using a functional or hybrid resume format that highlights your specific skills and achievements right at the top. Imagine a headline that says Senior Project Manager who has delivered $50 million in completed projects on time and under budget. That grabs attention. We also need to talk about the visual aspect. Most resumes are walls of text that induce sleep. A guerrilla resume uses bolding, white space, and even graphs or logos where appropriate to guide the reader's eye to the most impressive metrics. You want the reader to think, this person understands branding and communication, not just this person can type. And here is a crucial tip: customize everything. The idea of a one-size-fits-all resume is a myth. If you are sending the exact same document to a bank and a tech startup, you are failing. You need to mirror the language, the tone, and the priorities of the specific company you are targeting. Once your marketing materials are ready, where do you send them? If your answer is to the HR department, you need to stop right there. One of the most controversial but effective stances in this book is the idea that human resources is often a graveyard for resumes. Now, this isn't to say HR professionals aren't doing their jobs, but their job is often to screen people out to reduce the pile. Not necessarily to find the hidden gem. They are gatekeepers. A guerrilla hunter bypasses the gatekeeper and goes straight to the decision maker. This brings us to the concept of the hidden job market. The book posits that a huge percentage of jobs, the best jobs, the high-paying jobs, are never advertised. They are filled through networks, referrals, and internal promotions. To access this market, you need to become a researcher. You need to use tools like Google, LinkedIn, and industry news to find out who is hiring before they even post a job description. Who just got funding? Who just launched a new product? Who just fired their VP of sales? These are triggers that create opportunities. If you can contact a hiring manager directly and say, "I see you just expanded into the European market, and I have 10 years of experience navigating EU regulations," you are solving a problem they might not have even written a job description for yet. This brings us to the art of the direct assault. This sounds aggressive, and it is, but in a professional way. It's about picking up the phone. In an age of email and text, the voice is a powerful differentiator. But you don't just call to ask for a job. You call to build a bridge. The book suggests a technique called the informational interview or the coffee cup strategy. You aren't asking for a job, you are asking for advice. You are calling a peer or a slightly senior person in your industry and saying, "I admire your work at Company X, and I'd love to buy you a coffee for 15 minutes to ask your perspective on where the industry is heading." People love to give advice. It makes them feel important. And once you are sitting in front of them, proving your intelligence and competence, you are no longer a stranger. You are a known quantity. When a position opens up next week, who do you think they will recommend? The random resume in the pile, or the sharp person they just had a latte with? This is how you build a network not of contacts, but of advocates. Let's say your aggressive tactics work and you land an interview. The guerrilla mindset shifts again here. Most people walk into an interview feeling like they are under interrogation. They sit there, sweaty palms, waiting to answer questions. Levinson and Perry flip the script. They argue that an interview is a sales meeting between two equals. You are there to determine if this company is a good fit for your business, just as much as they are evaluating you. This means you must ask questions. High quality, probing questions. Ask about their biggest challenges. Ask about their competitors. Ask why the last person left. When you ask smart questions, you demonstrate that you are already thinking like an employee. You are mentally already doing the job. There is a technique called question-based selling referenced in the strategy. Instead of just listing your skills, you ask a diagnostic question like, "I noticed many companies in this sector struggle with supply chain latency. Is that currently impacting your margins?" When they say yes, you then present your experience as the specific antidote to that poison. You transition from an applicant to a consultant. You are diagnosing their pain and prescribing yourself as the cure. We also need to touch upon the guerrilla cover letter, or what the authors sometimes refer to as the T letter. Standard cover letters are usually fluff, "I am writing to apply for," and so on. A T letter is a two-column comparison. On the left side, you list the employer's requirements as stated in their ad or as you discovered through research. On the right side, you list your matching qualifications point by point. It is visual, it is direct, and it proves instantly that you are a match. It respects the reader's time and forces them to see the alignment. It effectively does the thinking for them. This kind of boldness stands out in a pile of generic prose. It says, "I understand what you need, and here is the proof that I have it." Now let's move to the most nerve-wracking part of the process, the close and the negotiation. The book advises a strategy of sell first, buy later. In the early stages, your only goal is to make them want you. You defer all talk of salary, benefits, and vacation time. If they ask about salary requirements early on, you deflect. You say, I am more interested in finding the right fit, and I am sure we can agree on a fair number if we decide to work together. Why do you do this? Because you have zero leverage until they have decided you are the one. Once they have emotionally committed to hiring you, once they have stopped interviewing other candidates, your value skyrockets. That is when you negotiate. And when you do negotiate, you don't just look at the base salary. You look at the total compensation package. Bonuses, stock options, telecommuting days, education stipends, these are all variables. A guerrilla negotiator knows that a company might have a hard cap on salary bands, but a flexible budget for training or signing bonuses. You need to be creative. If they can't meet your salary number, ask for a performance review in 6 months with a guaranteed raise attached to specific metrics. This shows confidence in your own ability to deliver. Throughout this entire process, there is a recurring theme of resilience. The authors discuss the guerrilla personality. It is about being thick-skinned. You will hear no. You will be ghosted. You will hit dead ends. The traditional job hunter takes this personally and gets discouraged. The guerrilla hunter treats it as data. A no is just information that helps you refine your pitch for the next target. You have to maintain high energy. The book even touches on the physical aspect, getting enough sleep, exercising, and keeping your morale high, because desperation has a smell. And employers can smell it a mile away. You need to walk into every interaction radiating success, even if you have been unemployed for 6 months. You create a reality distortion field where you are a hot commodity that is just currently available on the market. Not a surplus good that nobody wants. Another fascinating tactic mentioned is the force multiplier effect. This essentially means using multiple channels simultaneously to surround a target. You don't just email the hiring manager. You connect with them on LinkedIn. You comment on their company blog. You send a physical letter via FedEx so it has to be signed for. You get a mutual contact to mention your name. When your name pops up in 3 or 4 different contexts within a short period, you create a sense of inevitability. You become a known entity before you even walk in the door. It creates a psychological bias in your favor. They feel like they already know you, or that you are everywhere in the industry. It is a form of personal branding blitzkrieg. Let's dig a bit deeper into the research phase, because this is where most people get lazy. Reading the About Us page on a website is not research. That is the bare minimum. Guerrilla research means digging into their financial reports to see if they are profitable. It means reading press releases to see what new technology they are adopting. It means using Google Alerts to track news about their competitors. When you walk into an interview and say, I see your competitor just launched a feature that mimics your core product. How do you plan to differentiate in the next quarter? You will see the interviewer's jaw drop. You have instantly elevated yourself from a subordinate asking for a paycheck to a peer discussing strategy. You are demonstrating that you care about the survival and success of the business. That is rare. Most candidates only care about what the business can give them. There is also a significant section in the book dedicated to the changing landscape of technology. While the core principles of human psychology remain the same, the tools have evolved. The book encourages the use of personal websites or digital portfolios. Why limit yourself to a 2-page resume when you can send a link to a website that hosts your work samples, video testimonials from past bosses, and a blog where you write about industry trends? This is your 24/7 salesperson. It works while you sleep. It allows you to control the narrative of your career. If someone Googles your name, and they will, you want your professional site to be the first thing that comes up, not your old Facebook photos. Controlling your digital footprint is a key defensive and offensive guerrilla tactic. We should also address the concept of follow-up. The standard thank you email is fine, but it is weak. A guerrilla follow-up reinforces the sale. It might be a physical handwritten note, which stands out in a digital world. Or, even better, it might be a value-add follow-up. Let's say in the interview you discussed a specific problem the company is facing. Your follow-up email could be, "I was thinking about that logistics issue we discussed, and I sketched out a rough framework of how I solved a similar problem at my last job." Attached is a one-page outline. Now you aren't just saying thank you, you are already doing the work. You are proving your value for free. It is a sample of the merchandise. It makes it incredibly difficult for them to say no, because they are already seeing the benefits of having you on the team. Finally, we have to talk about the end game. The offer. The book advises that you should never accept an offer on the spot. Always ask for 24 hours to review it. This maintains your professional stature and gives you time to coolly analyze the details. When you do counteroffer, do it with justification. Don't just say "I want more money." Say, "Based on the market research for this level of responsibility, and considering the specific revenue targets you need me to hit, a base of X is more appropriate." Use logic, not emotion. And once the deal is signed, the guerrilla marketing doesn't stop. You have to market yourself inside the company to ensure your survival and promotion. You keep a success journal of your wins, so when review time comes, you aren't guessing, you have a documented case for your next raise. To wrap this up, Guerrilla Marketing for Job Hunters 2.0 is a manifesto for taking control. It stops you from being a victim of the economy or the whims of HR algorithms. It demands that you treat your career with the same strategic rigor that a CEO treats a corporation. It requires courage, because calling strangers and bypassing protocol feels risky. But the biggest risk is doing what everyone else is doing and expecting a different result. The job market is a jungle. You can either be the prey, waiting to be picked off, or you can be the guerrilla, moving with purpose, striking with precision, and securing the prize. The tools are in your hands. The strategy is sound. The only variable left is your willingness to execute. So, rewrite that resume, do your research, pick up the phone, and go hunt down the career you actually deserve.